Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. So today, as y'all can see, I have a new setup and I bought a new bookshelf. This is like only $35 on Amazon, but I was like, even though I did an unhaul, if you haven't seen my unhaul, I will link it. I got rid of about 35 books. Even though I did that unhaul, I was still overflowing with books, y'all. So I decided to get this extra shelf. I had already ordered several other books. I know that this doesn't match, but it is what it is. I've had this for a really long time, so just kind of, it's followed us around through the years. My husband actually had this in his room growing up, and he ended up like restaining it and painting it at one point about 10 years ago. So this bookshelf has just kind of followed us through the years. And then these, I just got some small bookshelves off Amazon, like I said, just to have something. I love the IKEA bookshelves, but I don't really have the space, and we don't have an IKEA around here anyway, so this is what I have. And I thought it would be a nicer filming area anyway. This is in my closet, so I don't know how the sound and everything's going to come through in the quality, but hopefully it comes through pretty good. Let me know in the comments if something doesn't sound right or doesn't look right. But anyway, so that's a little bit of a intro here about the new setup and everything, but I'm excited about it. Today, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to do a video talking about my favorite new to me authors. So I'm really excited to talk about this. Many of these you've already heard me talk about, but someone suggested I do like a top author video, and since I've been reading a lot more new Christian fiction and just new authors in general, this has sounded more appropriate for me to do, just because so many new authors are favorites to me right now, and I will pick up more books, and I want to read more books by them, so that's why I decided to make this video. Okay, so the first author that I want to talk about is Jennifer Dobble. She wrote A Dancing Donegal, which was a favorite of 2021 for me, and The Lady of Galway Manor, and that was a favorite of 2022 for me as well. So, y'all, I love Jennifer's writing. I mean, I put the pictures. I don't have physical copies of them on my shelves because I got A Dancing Donegal. I got that off NetGalley last year. It's actually my first NetGalley ever, and ARC ever, and I was like, somebody approve me! I was so excited about it. And it did not disappoint. It was such a great story. The Lady of Galway Manor, I ended up getting on Kindle, so I read it on ebook, and I listened to part of it on audio. All of these are going to be Christian fiction authors, but she writes historical romance, Christian historical romance, and she writes her characters really well. Like, even the side characters are very fleshed out. I feel like the plot's always really nice and thought through, and her writing style's great when it comes to the romance and the atmosphere. So like her scenes in these two books are in Ireland, and I love Ireland. I would love to visit there one day. I just love everything about it. It's wonderful. My husband actually got to visit there one time on a school trip, and I was so jealous. but yeah, it just sounds like such a nice place to visit. And Jennifer just really depicts that very well. You'd almost feel transported to the time period and the era there. So really enjoy reading about Ireland and everything she has to say there. She also has really great faith content in her books. I know sometimes it's really hard to find good faith content in books anymore with the Christian fiction world. It's kind of like hit or miss sometimes. But she really has good biblical truths in there. I'll give a couple examples. I know A Dancing Donegal had some really great biblical truths about showing God's love to others. There was a character that had went through some hardship and was treated badly by another character, and then the tables were kind of turned, and she showed God's love to that person in such a way that most of us would not have. And I really appreciated that about her book, that being a main point of the book. And then in The Lady of Galway Manor, you had just such beautiful depiction of Jesus's death on the cross, and like his was the ultimate sacrifice for us, and just really appreciated that mention in that. And so, plus there were several others, of course, but there was prayer, and then A Dancing Donegal, there was reading from the Bible. I mean, you had just so much Christianity in these books. I loved it. So those were always a main focal point, and definitely great in that aspect. Also, the romance is always written really well. I love how they always fall in love. It's so sweet, and everything they go through is just written so great. So I don't really know what else to say. If y'all like Ireland, historical fiction, Christian romance, you would love these books, I think. So definitely Jennifer Dobble is a new to me favorite author. She's going to be an auto-buy author for me. Anything she writes, I will read. So, okay, enough of me gushing about that. Oh, the next author. Okay, I've talked enough about that. Y'all already know when I say this, you're going to be like, oh, okay, she's done talked about this how many times now? But Terry Blackstock, If I Run, y'all, I'm telling you, I could go on and on about this series. It's a 5-star series for me. You know, I've never really been into a mystery, but she has wrote me in for Christian fiction or Christian mystery. Like, she really has. These have great faith content in there with characters go through. You're just like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen next? Edge of your seat. Just a great mystery. Everything about it is just on point. 100% on point. And all I can really say is, you know, there's, you know, what's great too is you don't have, like, some books are really graphic with mystery, and I don't want anything that's going to be scary or make me have nightmares. Because that would happen, that has happened, and this definitely did not. So I felt like the content was not bad. The characters you're really just pulling for the whole time. What's going to happen next? I need to know. I was gushing about this on my Instagram, so I definitely have ordered like 2 more of her books. I think I ordered Smokescreen, and I can't remember the other one, but I've ordered some other books by her that I'm going to read. My library also has several on the shelf when I went there, so I was excited about that I plan to borrow. And of course they have a lot of the ebooks and audiobooks, so yeah. Terry Blackstock, you all have got to read her. If you haven't, I think I have her Catching Christmas book on my shelf as well that I'm going to read this Christmas. So yeah, new favorite author, 100%. So next, I haven't talked about this book a whole lot. I did have, because I just read it this month, in April, but I did have a vlog on this. So I will link that here if you haven't seen it. And towards the end, I talk about this book. But Until Leaves Fall in Paris by Sarah Sundin. Sarah Sundin, y'all, I love historical fiction, and especially a great Christian historical fiction, and this had a great romance. Beautiful. I really appreciated her characters here. This is set in 1940 Paris during World War II. She had a lot of good depictions from the World War II era, so I felt like she did her research, and I learned quite a bit as well. There's a lot of tension in this, back and forth, a lot of banter, back and forth between the main characters. There is also a bookshop in this, and anytime there's a bookshop in a story, I'm going to read it. Definitely 100%. So this was 5 stars for me. I have already got When Twilight Breaks by her here that I recently purchased. So I do plan to read this, and a lot of y'all have said to read this and that it's good. So anything that's, she's kind of one of those top historical Christian fiction authors, and I saw that there were several on my library from her that I want to read. So I'm excited about that. And I really appreciated the fact that she had a male widower, which you don't see a whole lot of in any kind of book, honestly. And he had a 4-year-old daughter, and just the relationship between the daughter and the main lady of the story, Lucy, I mean, was just great. And you really felt for them as a family. Like, there was all this family dynamic that I really liked. So anything like that, it's going to be a 5-star for sure. I mean, she's just a new favorite for me. I won't keep going on and on. I'll talk more about this book in my wrap-up whenever it's posted. But if you like a good Christian historical fiction with romance, you will like this book. You will love Sarah Sundin, and I highly recommend it. All right, y'all. A lot of y'all know about this one too. I've been talking about it, but Librarian of Boone's Hollow by Kim Vogel-Sawyer. This was the first book I've ever read by Kim Vogel-Sawyer, and it's 100% 5 stars. Just such great characters. I mean, lessons learned, wonderful plot, great historical fiction, cute little romance during the Great Depression. Wrote really well about that time period and the struggles people would have, and great Christian faith content. So much good faith content in this. The Nanny Faye character was amazing. Just such a wonderful, like, grandmother figure, and the banter back and forth with the characters was good. The main character was so lovable. You just loved her, and you really got to see there was some struggle with one of the characters, and I was so glad that they put that perspective in here. Kim put that perspective in here, because if she didn't, you really wouldn't have felt the same about the character. That I think that's the whole point. Give her perspective. So we really did pull it. She did pull at our heartstrings and stuff. So that was great to have this, to have 4 perspectives. And normally I have a hard time with multiple perspectives, but I still really enjoyed this. I didn't have that hard of a time, honestly. I appreciated the faith content in this because you just got to see how the Lord was really working in their lives and just everything they were going through. There was just so much in this story. So Kim Vogel Sawyer is definitely a new favorite author for me. I do have some of her books already on my shelf. They're back here. I won't pull them all out, but I do plan to read more of her books. And there is a second book coming out in this series, and I'm really excited about that. I don't know when, if there's a date or anything, but yeah. I think it's called Return to Boone's Hollow or something like that. But I'm excited about that, and I can't wait to read it. I loved Boone's Hollow. I just love this whole atmosphere. So, anyway, I won't keep guessing. I've talked a lot about that book. Dust by Kara Swanson. I think Kara Swanson, I really enjoyed her retelling. So if she did like another retelling, just kind of like an honorable mention. I did finish the second book, Shadow, on audio. And like I said, this was like more of an adult version of Peter Pan retelling. So definitely not for children, but it wasn't explicit or anything. It was just a little bit more darker side than it would be like a children's tale. But it was so good. I think this is by a Christian publisher, but there's no real faith in here. Maybe just overall themes that you have to try to think about and connect to your mind there. But overall, this is a really great retelling of a children's classic, Peter Pan. And you did get multiple perspectives of Peter Pan and the main character, other characters as well. And there was Tiger Lily, the Lost Boys, and all of that. I felt like this was a great adventure story. I love Middle Earth. So if you want a great adventure story, these are great. This is a duology, Dust and then Shadow. And I gave this one 5 stars, and I think I gave Shadow 4 stars. So they're really great. Anything that Kara Swanson writes any further, I will definitely be interested in. I don't know if she's 100% a new favorite, but I definitely have my eye on her. I definitely have my radar on for any future books by her. So just kind of wanted to give her as an honorable mention. The rest of these I think will be honorable mentions. Coffee break. So I think another honorable mention for me is Courtney Walsh. I'll put the picture here because I read this on ebook, but A Cross Country Christmas was a really cute, like a Christmas travel book, and it had some Christian faith in it, and I really appreciated the details in that and how the characters come together in the romance. So I gave it 5 stars. It was a really cute Christmas read. I know she has a lot of other books, and she had a new one that just came out. I think it's called What Matters Most. This year. So there was just several of her books that I have keep seeing float around. And since I really did like A Cross Country Christmas, I do plan to try to read more of her books and see how I like those. Another honorable mention here is Denise Hunter, Bookshop by the Sea. I read that last year. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Anything with like I said, anything with a bookshop, I really like it. And so I did order Riverbend Gap by her. It was a used copy, but I did order that. And I do plan to read more by her, so I keep seeing some of her books float around, and I do plan to read more of her. I really enjoyed that book, so hopefully I will like more of her books as well. This is not really an honorable mention. I think 100% I will like her books. Just by reading this first one, it was so good. It was 5 stars. Jen Toronto, Flights of Fancy, American Heiresses series. Have my iPad up here going through my Goodreads to see, and I forgot about that one. Really liked that story. I was laughing. I was mixed emotions throughout the whole story. I mean, it was a Christian historical fiction. It had a romance, and the setting, the faith content, like the Glory Manor details we got. There were some funny aspects too, because the main character is like supposed to be a housekeeper, but she can't even like boil water, so there's a lot of that kind of funny stuff that goes on there. I really appreciated the aunt and uncle in this story. The side characters were really fleshed out. They were just beautiful. There was a lot of like children and animal details there, where like they were like taking care of animals and stuff. So I want to continue this series so bad. I really need to read book 2, and I don't even know how many's in it, but it said this was the first one, so I definitely want to continue on with Jen Toronto. I think a lot of people like her. and I'm excited to read more by her. I meant to include her actually earlier on and totally forgot. So another honorable mention is Danny Petrie, Submerged. I read her book and gave it 4.5 stars. I really liked it. I want to continue on with the series. I was like on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what happened. It had a great mystery aspect, some good faith content. The characters were really well written, and the story, the plot was really interesting. So I want to continue on with that as well. Another honorable mention, I think, would be Toni Shiloh. I read In Search of a Prince and gave it 4.5 stars. I really liked it. So I think that I would definitely want to read more of hers. I've seen some of her books like suggested to me on Amazon and stuff from based on where I read that. And so in the library too. So I do want to kind of read some more of hers and see if I would like those as well. Oh, and I guess to end this, I'm just going to say anything by C.S. Lewis I'm probably going to love. Read The Magician's Nephew. Probably going to love the Narnia series. I need to continue on with it. I've got the whole like box set right here. So I do want to continue on with it. So he's definitely going to be like 100% new favorite. I did read like Mere Christianity and enjoyed it. And then I want to read Letters to Malcolm. I talked about reading that in April. I don't know if I'm going to get to it, but it was relatively short, so I'm going to try. But yeah, overall, I definitely will love anything that he writes, of course. So, but yeah, I think that's all I'm going to talk about today in this video. It was already probably pretty long. I just kind of wanted to do some references on some new authors that I love and that I'm enjoying over the past 6 months and that I have found and started reading their books. I'm sure there'll be more to add here later on. What are some of your new favorite authors? Do you love, are these any of your favorite authors? Let me know in the comments below. If you've not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate everyone's support and everything throughout my channel. Y'all have been great. And so give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And I will see y'all in the next one. See y'all.